Speaking of Black Hawk helicopters.
Hey everyone, it's Outer here. Just wanted to give you all a quick update on some of the stuff that's going on right now that I found quite interesting. And also a video I have on my way home today that I wanted to show you all here real quick of disposable coffins finally being moved around. This is not the first time I've seen it this week on these trucks. This is just the first time I've been able to get it on video. Also, they've been moving a lot of military equipment, but in the opposite direction from where I'm traveling when I'm coming home from work. So I haven't been able to get that on video either, but as soon as I can, I will. But this is very interesting, folks, that this is happening. If you all remember, I did a video called The End is Near, a sequence of videos about 13 years ago. And in that sequence of videos, I spoke about these disposable coffins and how I believe that they were going to be utilized for a nuclear war. And the reason why is because if somebody just had a contagion or something, they could bury the bodies unless it's highly contagious. But radiation is going to have to be sealed away. So bodies that are contaminated with radiation after the cleanup begins for their New World Order, they're going to put these bodies in these disposable coffins so the radiation doesn't seep out into the ground. Now, I'm going to show you that video here in a second. But first, I wanted to talk about how today was Russia's Victory Day, and Putin addressed his parade in Moscow, and he spoke very, very grimly towards the West. And he said to the West that it's our fault that we're in this situation. So he's pretty much saying that war is coming, it's inevitable, and he's blaming us for it. And I think it's kind of eerie, honestly. And I would suggest that you all would watch this if you guys have time. But also, I wanted to tell you all about these X-class and M-class flares. The sun is becoming very active right now. And we've been having some radio blackouts, extreme aurora borealis. Also, our high-frequency radio band waves have been interfered with severely. So those of you who know and have followed any of the EAS channels know that EAS utilizes, including our nuclear forces, a high-wave band radio frequency. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on. Also, Lebanon fired a ton of missiles into northern Israel about 8 hours ago. And I believe that Iran may be plotting and planning something as well since Israel went into Rafah. So we're going to have to keep our eye on that as well. So a lot of stuff going on right now, folks. Just tons and tons of stuff. But I just wanted to give you all this quick update so I could show you this video that I have here that I just recently took on my drive home. See that? Disposable coffins, folks. So, as you can see clearly, and I was trying to get it while I was on the highway, but the truck kept slowing down, and it wouldn't let me back beside it. So I waited till I got off the exit, and I took the exit pretty slowly so he would pass me. But see that right there, folks? The disposable coffins being moved, and this is not the first time I've seen this week. They're being moved a lot. So I find that very, very interesting, folks, that this is happening now. And with all this going on, all this military movement, I mean, I'm seeing military pieces of equipment that I've never even seen before coming down the highway. New looking equipment, okay? Then, of course, the Black Hawks I told you all about being moved. My mom's seeing them as well a few weeks ago. So a lot of stuff's going on right now, folks. One of the nuclear doomsday planes flew to one of our nuclear underground bunkers. And yes, so a lot of stuff going on right now, folks. And I believe that Russia and Belarus are going to utilize these low-yield tactical nuclear weapons across Europe. I don't think we're going to get hit just yet. I think they're going to hit Europe first. And then when that happens, they'll probably cut the transatlantic cables and use that satellite in space to knock out our communications and GPS satellites. By so doing this, using their land jammers that they've been using on our ships here in the United States, causing them to wreck, which was their kind of like a beta test. And then now they're using it in the Black Sea on ships as well, scrambling GPS and controls of these ships. I believe that we're going to be sitting ducks. And it's going to be chaos because if you think about it, when this war escalates, all communications with our troops overseas are going to be cut off. They're going to be blind. They're not going to have any commands coming from Northern Command or CENTCOM or anybody, and Central Command or Southern Command. They're not going to be able to communicate with the certain control mechanisms necessary to give orders for war. So they're going to be out there like sitting ducks, not knowing what to do, what to attack, how to attack, and we're just going to be wiped clean. We're just going to be literally paperweights, just not knowing what to do. We'll probably gather up with some allies or do this and that, but folks, I'm telling you right now, they've had this plan for a very long time, and the mainstream media is telling everybody it's 3 years away. No, it is not 3 years away. Russia's not going to allow for NATO to prepare themselves. It's just not going to happen. China's not going to allow for America to prepare themselves in the eastern part of the Asian peninsula either. It's not going to happen. They're going to hit us now while we have this lame, dementia-based president and a Congress that can't get their act together. And the military-industrial complex is to blame for this because they would rather make money to prolong a war in Ukraine and sell all these weapons than they would have to get prepared and allow for us to be at the ready when Russia decides to do what they're going to do. And I hate to tell you all this, folks, but prophecies have suggested that Europe's going to fall. And if you listen to the prophecies of St. Malachi, where he talks about the last pope, okay, and you hear about the Fatima prophecies, where it says that Russian troops will come down into Italy and assassinate the Pope in Rome. So these prophecies have been foretold that Russia is going to invade Europe and they're going to be successful. So we need to be prepared because I believe that we are literally weeks away from a cataclysm in which to the likes of what we've never seen. And as soon as Europe's attacked, you better believe that food prices and gas prices and everything in this country are going to skyrocket. We're already $34 trillion in debt. Our country is broke and the petrodollar is failing because the BRICS nations are not using the petroleum dollar anymore to trade with oil. That is what this is all about, folks. This is just greed. Greed, power, just evil, what's happening right now. And people want to pit the United States and Russia against each other, just like the movie The Sum of All Fears with Ben Affleck. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you see it. It is a great movie, okay? And it is based off of the book written by Tom Clancy, all right, about how the fascists wanted to pit their two enemies against one another, which was Russia and the United States, the Allied forces and the Russians that took down Germany in World War II. So I find it all very interesting, okay, that all this is happening and how slowly but surely the psychological operation against the people has already begun. And the hive mind that is being portrayed right now by the talking box, the television set, that's telling us how to think and how to feel and what to do. And if you speak this way, then it's going to be silence and you can't read these books no more because Amazon's going to take them down. This is literally modern day fascism, what we're seeing in front of our eyes, folks. In the United States of America, when we have a First Amendment right to freedom of speech. We literally have the right to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of protest. But yet we're not allowed to read certain things because it's information control. They want to control the narrative, and you're not allowed to think outside the box because you're not allowed to see the enemy for who they are. It's disgusting. And honestly, folks, I believe that this is just a modern-day book burning. Information control under the Ministry of Truth bill, H.R. 5181. You can look it up. It was passed under the Obama administration. It's called the Disinformation Act bill. Allegedly created to stifle outside propaganda from coming into the United States to interfere and meddle with elections. And it's being abused because now they can say that anything is disinformation caused by propagandists outside this country, outside influencers. I'm telling you right now, folks, and they took down TikTok, and there's a bunch of other things coming, all right? And people like me are shadow banned. Others are being blocked on Twitter. NY Prepper's channel was taken down on X, on Twitter. And, I mean, I'm telling you right now, these people are not our friends. And these people with power are very greedy and hungry, and they want this depopulation agenda. They want their their Agenda 21, 2030 agenda to be put forth. And I'm telling you right now, they'll stop at nothing. Remember the Georgia Guidestones that were just recently bombed a few years ago and destroyed? The evidence of them is gone. But the pictures remain, and we know the first commandment on the Georgia Guidestones is to keep and maintain humanity under 500 million persons in perpetual balance with nature. Those Guidestones were erected in the 1980s, and when they were erected, there were still, at that time, 6 or 5 billion people on the planet. So even when they were first discovered, first erected, a lot of people would have had to have died. So think about it. You have these little gain-of-function exercises and agendas that have been put forth across the nation and around the world to try to begin the necessary steps for this depopulation agenda. And you all know exactly what I'm talking about, what occurred in 2019 and so on, and 2020 here in the United States. So I believe that, all of the hierarchies of the Illuminati, if you want to call them that, came out and literally started talking about, the depopulation that's necessary to save the world. No, it's not about saving the planet. Because if they cared anything about the planet, they wouldn't be using nuclear weapons. They wouldn't be bombing things. They wouldn't be over in the Olympian Peninsula setting off all these electromagnetic weapons. They sure as heck wouldn't be going and firing all these things up into space, putting holes in the ozone layer constantly. They wouldn't be flying around on their private jets, burning tons and tons of fuel to tell us about this climate change agenda. And we all know that the man Gunther Schwab, an Austrian-born Nazi, is the founding father of the climate change agenda. He wrote a book called Dancing with the Devil that literally spoke about global warming, okay? Being the devil. And I find it interesting because in the Nazis' regime, they had an agenda called the Blutboden or Blood and Soil Campaign and the One Blood and Soil Campaign. And they wanted to literally create a one-world socialist utopia that only had one race and only had, and everybody took care of the world. And they took care of each other in a socialist utopia that they believed in, okay? And now you see the same thing happening with these actors on the world and global stage. Utilizing this very fear tactic, climate change, to force people to bow down and worship the agenda. There's nothing you can do now to stave it off. So before it was global warming, then it was global cooling, and global warming, and now climate change, because the climate changes every day. The climate's changed multiple times a day. It went from cold to warm to hot. It rained a little bit, got a little cold, then back to humid hot. Climate changes all the time, so you can't argue against the very term climate change because it changes always. So, very interesting, folks, that all these things, if you really want to know the truth, it's out there. It is out there. Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini, the 3 world wars, it is out there. I'm telling you, folks, it is out in the open. Those who have eyes will see it, and those who have ears will hear it. Unfortunately, there's way too many blind people, and they don't understand that they're going to destroy the world. I mean, literally, Earth's going to become Mars 2.0. Like, Do they not understand what they're doing? I mean, they think they know. They run all these little stupid supercomputers that don't understand the intricacies of everything that goes on around us, including the atmosphere and biosphere. It has calculations based off human knowledge as far as it can go, based off of everything compiled together that we've been able to graph together throughout time, but it does not comprehend nor understand past that. It is not God. It does not know. These people are idiots, okay? And they know this because no matter how much they look through Operation Looking Glass, it's the same thing. There's a cataclysm that comes that ends everything, and they don't understand why they can't go past it. It's because of their stupid agenda. They can't look past their agenda and change their ways to the point to where it's not going to happen. It's going to happen because they're a bunch of buffoons, literally. And a bunch of greedy, just rich bastards that want to have the world depopulated, not to save the planet, but to control us easier. They want to have full spectrum control. Right now, too many people on the planet is a threat to them, and they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't like having to go out and eat with us. They don't like driving through traffic with us. They don't even like being around us or staring at us or even knowing that we exist. They got their nose so far up there, you know what, walking around acting like their, poop don't stink. That everybody else is just low-life bottom feeders that don't need to exist because we're eating into their resources and making their life a hassle. Breathing their air, drinking their water, contaminating their food, contaminating their land. They don't like it. So I'm telling you right now, folks, be prepared because things are coming. But anyways, I love you. God bless you. And hopefully I will see you all in the next one.